Hi, everybody. It's Courtney Antoine. Hope everybody's having a great morning, a great afternoon, or a great night wherever you are in the world. Today, I wanted to come on today and talk a little bit about myself because a lot of people who follow me on social media just may not know me. They just may see posts. So today, I felt I'll be a little transparent with people, my followers, and everyone. Just trying to get out of the shell that I've been in, trying to be more vocal and communicate a little bit more. So today I want to talk about my journey, my plant-based journey. A lot of people know that I've been vegan. I've been not eating meat for a long time, and a lot of people ask me a lot of questions. They want to know. They want to know. So I'm here to help. I'm here to help you guys because I understand that it's a challenge. It's a challenge. We all have challenges. Nobody's perfect. And we're all trying to better ourselves. But I am a true believer that it starts in the gut. It starts with what you're putting in your body. I'm a true believer of that. And this is my little story of how my plant-based how me eating a plant-based diet has really changed my life. It really has. Let's see. Before I even knew what it was to be a vegan, or before I even really knew that I really was trying to eat healthier, I feel like it kind of gradually just came upon me. I can remember back in 2011 when I guess I started becoming more conscious of what I was eating, and I started noticing that every time I would eat the flesh of an animal, I would find like a hard gristle inside of it, this fatty stuff, and I was asking myself, like, what am I eating? It just wasn't making sense. I would notice that after I would eat cereal with milk, after I would eat cheese pizza, ice cream, those were my favorite things. Cheese pizza, pepperoni pizza, ice cream, cereal. I love sweets. I was a big fan of sweets. I love pasta. But I loved pizza with pepperoni and mozzarella sticks, ice cream, and cereal. I think those were my biggest things. When it came to the flesh of the animal, I wasn't particularly ever a big fan of um, meat growing up. Where I, growing up, I just as a child, I never really was a big fan um, of of meat. I could remember back in when I was younger, bologna. I was kind of like, ugh, this big tough piece of meat. We always had bologna. I didn't understand what bologna was. Um, you know, it was weird to me. And then, Vienna sausages, that little thing in the can, hot dogs, this manufactured flesh that I was eating. Yeah, all that to say, okay, so it's been a journey. I can say back in 2011, I remember noticing the birds flying around, walking around, and the birds spinning on the rotisserie rack inside of the grocery store. I know they just cut the head off and pulled the wings off and clipped the feathers and cook it to a temperature that the U.S. Let's see, as far as the United States, the people who govern food, they say it's appropriate. You cook it to 145 degrees, 150 degrees, 100 and such degrees, and it's okay to eat after you cut the head off and the wings off and things. But I started understanding that it just wasn't making sense to me. So Then I gradually started noticing that I was shifting to the quality of meat I was eating. It was like, oh, I want to try a better quality of beef, or this tuna in a can doesn't taste like this tuna in a jar. This tuna in a can is $1. This tuna in a jar is almost $10. They both they both are about the same amount of ounces per each container. So with all that being said, I started noticing how the food was making me feel. I was becoming more conscious of my body. My body was telling me like this doesn't feel right. So within that journey, I started better understanding what I was eating. And at the time, I was also very heavy in performing. A lot of people know I'm an artist. I've been into music at an early age since I was 15, and I've always wanted to, keep my body in a healthy state. I always wanted to be able to perform at the optimum level. In seventh grade, I was the captain of my cheerleading team. I could do a toe touch. I had a very, very high toe touch. I could do a backwards flip. I was very athletic and energetic. So in my early 20s, like I say in 2011, I was probably around 21, no, probably around 20, I don't know, maybe between 21, 24, something like that. Um, and I started noticing that, hey, I want to make sure that I can keep my body at this healthy state so that I can continue to move, or should I say, so I can continue to be agile and continue to have the brain power to accomplish the task that I wanted to accomplish. So I started doing research. Like, one of my favorite fruit at that time became a blueberry. Everybody that was around me knew that Courtney loved blueberries. I had blueberry everything. I had blueberry posters on my wall. I was making blueberry pancakes, blueberry martinis, blueberries, frozen blueberries. I just loved blueberries because at that time I had researched blueberries, and I found out that blueberries had a lot of antioxidants in them. I found out that they were very, very good for the skin, and they helped fight free radicals in the body. And I understand that, free radicals were these little things in the body, or, you know, form of toxins, should I say, that could mutate and create a hazardous environment for your body, and could cause you to develop certain diseases. So, with that being said, I started understanding what I was putting in my body, researching blueberries. I love blueberries. So, it was a gradual step into transitioning. So I would say, and then time passed. I was still eating meat, and I was still within that time slowly understanding the process by nature. It wasn't me. It was like God was shifting me. So I do remember around 2016, I was told by a physician that I had a form of cancer. And I do this because that's just a gesture that I decided to use beside that. Because I'm a big believer that the body can be healed if it's given the right predicament and environment. And I'm also a believer of not speaking certain words over your life. So I use that to kind of shift that away from me. Should I say, I was told that I had cancer in 2016. And at that time, when I found out that I had cancer, I went online. I was at home and I started crying after the doctor told me. And then I went online, I pulled my laptop out and I started Googling black man cancer. And Dr. Sebi popped up. And I clicked on his video and I was like listening to him, and he was talking about eating all of this stuff, like all of these vegetables, all of these things that I did not eat when I was younger, and telling me all the things that I shouldn't be eating that I was eating. And it all made sense to me. So at that moment, I went to Whole Foods and I stayed inside of the produce area. I purchased all kinds of vegetables and fruits and herbs, all in the produce area. And I also got a big gallon of one of those big blue jugs, and I filled it up with the high pH level water. And I basically drunk on that water for like a week, and as well as I ate naturally for a week by looking at Dr. Sebi's recommended biomineral balance that he suggests to eat when you're trying to cleanse your body. So I stuck to that protocol, only ate the things that were on that list, the only fruits, herbs, vegetables that were on that list. And I made a big soup, and I ate on that soup for about a week. And I just continued to read his information online and understand it. And then, with that being said, I just basically continued to transition into, continuing to focus on what I was eating at the time. And within that, let's see, I was able to cleanse my body and heal my body. And so, I always recommend focusing on that. And so this is just a little video that I just wanted to come on and share with you guys, and hope that it inspires somebody on your journey and your transition. And yeah,